May we acknowledge the courage that it has taken each one of us to take this step toward realizing all of the potential that life has for us. Let us continue to dwell in our possibility with enthusiastic and passionate resolve. Thank you.
Are you there, Eric?
Yeah, sorry. Had to find a quiet spot real quick. Now we do the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you, Jackie, for the wonderful invocation this morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday Eve. Are there any announcements from the floor?
I see Karen Stewart, right? Is she the guest lady?
Yeah, Karen Stewart. She's from Lockport Toastmasters.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Karen. Thank you for joining us this morning. Are there any other announcements from the floor? All right, well, I'll turn things over to our Toastmaster of the day, Sylvia.
Well, thank you. Glad to see you all here this morning, and welcome, Karen. I do have, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, does anyone want to take the role of Adjuster Master, or we do not have to have it? It's up to you. Tom will. Great, Tom. I'm gonna put you down there. Thank you, Thomas. Okay. Well, a goldfish's attention span 3 seconds long. This was the first real facts, Snapples. Got my Snapple bottle here. Snapple. This started as a marketing gimmick to bring people to have fun, but it's not really a marketing gimmick to me. It doesn't bring you to buy more iced tea from Snapple. But I do know, and I bet everybody has, when they do buy a bottle of Snapple, the first thing they do is read the cap before they drink their lemonade. A little bit of history. Snapple, some are not real, and you could tell by when you read them, like, there's no way this is real. And they're from their employees, and they're from the consumers. You could send in a real fact, and they may pick yours to publish that year. Little history with Snapple. It was founded in 1970 Arnold Greenberg. This company was originally known as, and I never heard this company, Unadulterated Food Products, out of Long Island. Their part-time adventure was to sell fruit juices to health stores. Today, Snapple is owned by Dr. Pepper. Now I'd like to introduce some of our roles. And I will start with our double duty person this morning, Jackie, as Wordmaster.
Thank you. The word for today is prevaricate, which means to speak or act in an evasive way. I did put it in the chat. To use it in a sentence, he seemed to prevaricate when journalists asked pointed questions. So it means to be evasive or vague or ambiguous. Prevaricate.
Wow, prevaricate. Very good. Thank you. The master this morning, I don't see Charles Deakins. We're going to wait a little bit. We'll pass that and go right to Nancy, our grammarian. Nancy?
I am here. Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay. What a great word to start with. Prevaricate. And that's something that I can do well. And there are times to do that, and there are times to be exact and precise, and I appreciate that word for today. I will be your grammarian, and that means that I am looking, and I'm listening for words and phrases that enhance your speech, or words or phrases that could be better used, or words that aren't correct in our language, wrong tenses, that kind of thing. And I will report back at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Quote master this morning, Carol Ann, do you have a quote for us?
Yes, I do. I have two quotes from two of our former presidents. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. That's from Ronald Reagan. Another quote is, "Let us not despair, but act. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future." And that was from JFK.
Thank you. I like that one. Jen, do you have a gesture for us?
I do. First, I want to share with you my preferred method of prevarication, which is to answer a question with a question, which misdirects the person who has asked the question into thinking they've received a response. Anyway, I shouldn't tell that because now you all know my little secret. But I will share a jest with you as well. That wasn't it, guys. What do you call an iPhone that's bent in half? A Snapple. Get it? Like an apple Snapple? Okay. And I got another one here. How did the Snapple talk to her friends? On Snapchat. Oh, okay. That's all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anyone would like to take master? I don't know if Charlie's going to come in and chime in today or not. Anyone? master? Master? No.
If he doesn't come in, I can add that to grammarian.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you. That would be great. The timer today is Kate.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you going to do this, Kate?
Well, we'll see. But Larry and Len are trying to assist me in using the virtual background. So I will be keeping time and hopefully switching our backgrounds to the green, amber, and red at the appropriate times. Table topics, let's confirm. Are we in our club? There we go. Larry's, it works on your screen. I'm still having technical difficulties, but that's what we'll be looking for our guest, Karen. It's great to see you. And we go a little longer in our table topics than other clubs. Is that correct? Or shorter? We're just stricter. Oh, there's Charlie coming in too. So
good.
Switch master back to Charlie. But so table topics 1 to 1.5, correct? 1 to 2.
1.5
to 2.
1.5 to 2.
I swear I feel like this every week. I apologize. I always think I know it. So you're shooting for 1.5 to 2 on table topics, and then our speakers and evaluators. Evaluators will be 2 to 3. Is that correct? 2 to 3. Great. Okay. And we'll work on the color backgrounds like Larry demonstrated. Thank you, Sylvia, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Kate. Let's see, Charlie, you're in. Could you tell us about your role as master? Yep, get unmuted. Don't know if you could unmute. Oh. Larry, could you unmute him? Uh-oh, I'm frozen.
It's not unmuting.
No?
Yes, but he has to unmute, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe the host could unmute people.
It just requests them to do that.
Gotcha.
Charlie?
We'll go to Thomas, volunteered to be my just master. Could you talk about that role, Tom?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. I am the gesture master this morning. I'll be looking for visual use of gestures, either by hand, body, or facial expressions.
Great.
Thank you.
The table topics, Gerald Stevens. He's going to be doing quite a few today.
Okay.
Nice.
We're ready for table topics, if I read the tea leaves correctly. So my table topics questions will be related to Snapple. And believe it or not, with the power of Google, you can find some of these random facts with Snapple. So that was pretty cool. And I believe I have 5 participants here that don't have jobs, or I believe don't have jobs. So the first participant will be Mr. Dave Licata. The first sport to be filmed was boxing. Are you looking forward to sports on TV? And if so, which one and why? Sports in general, Dave Licata.
Good morning, Mr. Table Topics Master, and what an opportunity to prevaricate, because I've already twisted this around. As a Buffalo Bills season ticket holder, with a team that's been in the playoffs 2 out of 3 years, I was really looking forward to attending the games, tailgating with my friends, and more importantly, being part of the 12th man. Now, it looks like we're not going to be able to attend the games. So I'm getting real grouchy about sports on TV, because the thought of watching the game on TV at home is a far cry from what I'm used to. I will admit that I was never cared for baseball that much. I cared for it even less on TV, but through osmosis, through my son, Michael Licata, I am now able to sit there and watch a game on TV and take it for what it's worth. And what it's worth is a nice opportunity to relax. And sometimes I even care how it's going to end. I hate to admit this in front of my brother and sister Toastmasters. I actually don't have a favorite baseball team, so that's out. But once again, referring back to Michael, we have sports from all over the world and have had sports from all over the world ever since Michael learned how to use the remote. And I believe he was about, I don't know, maybe 60 days old. He had the remote. It was amazing. So I've watched Australian rules football. I've watched a lot of crazy sports, and even you know that they made cornhole a sport. They televised one of those matches. Golf is pretty interesting once they start putting, but my favorite sport on TV is when the Bills are on the road and I'm sitting in the comfort of my living room and I can watch my Bills on TV. Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Dave. I will continue to prevaricate some random facts from Snapple. Snoopy is the most common dog name starting with an S, according to Snapple. Beth Banks, tell us about your favorite pet in your life, past or present. Beth Banks.
Sorry. Dr. Stevens, will you please repeat that? We're having technical difficulties with the timing over here, but my mom is happy to answer.
Not a problem.
Maybe.
According to Snapple, Snoopy is the most common dog name, starting with S. Tell us about your favorite pet, past or present. Beth Banks.
Oh, let's see. I think my favorite pet I ever had was a miniature black poodle named Ebony. And I think he was my favorite because he was so smart. He could be trained to do anything. Unlike the little white part poodle that I have now, he actually was a dog who figured out how to untangle himself from a tree. And I had never seen a dog be able to do that, but he knew if he couldn't reach the sidewalk, he was tangled, and he would go out and start going around the tree again. And if I said other way, he would come to a dead stop and literally go the other way to untangle himself. So he was probably my favorite pet of all time. So I'm supposed to keep talking. Okay. I love the two little dogs I have now. They definitely have different personalities. Sammy is the princess. Teddy is the bulldog, although he has no bulldog, he's terrier. But he's my little dog who is my protector. He will get between me and any other person or dog who looks like they are coming towards me a little too quickly for him. I have seen him take on much larger dogs because he was not going to let them close to me in any way. So he's my little protector. Sammy is not. Definitely not. So I will try to not prevaricate and give you the straight answer there. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Our next participant will be Margot Bittner. The bulldog is the bullfrog, should I say, is the only animal that never sleeps. Sleep is coveted by many to dream. Tell us about a vivid dream or dreams you have had. Margot Bittner.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, for this opportunity to prevaricate about my dreams. Actually, I have a fun fact for you. Does anybody know where Snapple was actually bottled locally for a period of time?
Meyer Brothers?
Yes, very good, Dave. Right here in Appleton, New York. It was actually done here for a period of time. They actually expanded their facility, and now they do some other things. But I think I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about pets, because when I grew up near Albany, New York, in a house where we had to get rid of the fish because they were too noisy. Yes, my mother did not like pets of any way, shape, or form, which is why when she comes to visit me now, we have a little bit of a challenge. When we had a dog, of course, the dog wanted to love her, and she would literally jump on the couch to get away. And now we have cats. My father loves to pet the cats. Will sit on the couch with the cats all on his lap, and my mother will not cope with it well. I finally taught her a very interesting trick. You walk into my house, you walk up to the cat and you say, hello, whatever the cat's name is, how are you? And then walk away, and the cat would leave her alone for the entire time. Now, I've been married for 40 years. We've been on the farm for just about that long. It took her 35 years to believe me and try that trick. However, it does work quite well for her now. My husband's favorite pet, I say, would be our dogs. He loved our German Shepherd, Zoe. She had no use for me. I could put food in the dish and she wouldn't eat until he told her it was okay. But I'll just stick to my cats. Thank you for the opportunity to prevaricate, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Margot. My next table topics participant will be Moklis. According to Snapple, bald eagles can swim using a stroke similar to a breaststroke. Who knew? Are you an ocean or lake person? and why? Tell us about experience that you may have had on either. Moklas.
What a wonderful question for me, because I used to be a great swimmer in my youth. And some of my class fellows and schoolmates calls me by the nickname Fish, because I love to be in water. I've been in water for more than 3 or 4 hours at a stretch without touching ground. That used to be kind of a sport in the town I grew up. So breaststroke is one of the most fascinating style of swimming. My favorite is, of course, the freestyle, or which is the front strokes. Second one is the back strokes. And the third one is the breaststroke. Breaststrokes are usually very difficult and the speed is not as great as freestyle. So this question for me, swimming was a case of survival for me. I almost drowned 3+ times, and my older brother jumped in to pull me out of the deep water, and then sometime I would be bloated and they have to let the water come out, and sometime I will be unconscious. So I had to learn very quickly in Bangladesh that in order to survive childhood, you must learn to swim. And then as time went on, I also learned to become a fast swimmer, became the school captain of the swimming team, and had a national championship meet where I won a medal. This is not all prevaricate, it's all reality. This is what happened in my life with water and swimming. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Moklas. And my last question I was going to pose for Len Thornton, if he is available. It is estimated the world's oceans contain 10 billion tons of gold. 10 billion, according to Snapple. What would you do if you discovered lost treasure? Len Thornton.
Mr. Topic Master, I think about this every day, actually. If I had no more need for money, if I could do anything I want, what would I do? And then what's actually stopping me from doing that anyway? I contemplate such things. I don't really dream at night, but I do think about endless wealth and the good I could do with it, because that's the source of any true pleasure, is helping others and doing good and helping society and the world. You look at people like Bill Gates, who's selflessly started the Gates Foundation and trying to cure diseases all over the world, and particularly Africa, and working on production facilities for the eventual cure for the COVID, or the vaccination rather. And you look at these multi-billionaires, how much better is their life with all their money if they're not doing anything with it, if it's just a number in a bank account? I could prevaricate about all the different failings of these billionaires, but I guess until you're one, you really don't know what the position involves, or that status involves. I don't really remember what your question was. Oh yes, about all the gold in the water. I've heard that Snapple fact before. The trick is getting the gold out of the water. Therein lies the rub. You think about the people panning in the gold rushes, in 49 and then Alaska and so on. They had it a little bit easier. It was a little bit more concentrated there. But I don't know. I love the ocean. That was a previous question. Over a lake any day. I love the tide coming in. There's just something about that energy and fighting against that, provided I'm not too far out, because I can't tread water for 3 hours like Moklas. Madam Toastmaster.
I'd like to get a few reports at this point. How did our table topics participants do, Madam Wordmaster?
They did swimmingly. Everyone used the word. Margot used it twice.
Very nice. And Madam Timer, how did our table topics participants do in regards to time?
Thanks, Dr. Stevens. Everyone qualified today. Dave at 2:27, Mom at 1:47, Margot at 1:39, Moklis at 2:04, and Len at 2:11. Thank you. Oh, Dave didn't qualify. Dave, I said everyone qualified. Dave went over with that, with the buffer, still went over 2:27. I'm sorry, Dave. Next time.
So hopefully someone will put up a poll here where we can take a vote, and for everyone except for Dave. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thanks for doing so many of them too. It helps. I'm going to go back a little bit to the very first real facts. Number one, a goldfish attention span is 3 seconds long. I just posted my vote here. That is not a true fact. Apparently, Mythbusters tried to prove this. I don't know what they did exactly. They didn't go in detail on the internet, but they did try to prove that this was a fact or not a fact. And unfortunately, it's not a fact. It is a retired bottle cap, though, cap. And if you have it, it might be worth money. So if you see it, keep it. Okay. I am going to now introduce our general evaluator because I missed right over you, Mike. Sorry. Mike, could you tell us your part of your role today?
No problem, Madam Toastmaster.
Hello?
My job this morning has been evaluated to evaluate the Toastmaster, evaluate the evaluators, and the overall theme of the meeting. That will be my role this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We'll come back to you later. Now for the speaking section, I only have 2 speakers this morning, and our first speaker will be Samir. Marty Johnson's going to be evaluating you, Samir. And Marty, can you tell us a bit about Samir's speech? Marty, you're muted. Marty, you need to unmute, please.
Samir thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Samir will be speaking from Pathways this morning, Level 3, Pathways Leadership and Development. And the section he's working on is a planning and implementing of the leadership development. And this morning, he's going to tell us about learning how he managed his time during the development and implementation phase of his plan. He's going to give us an overview of what he did. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And Samir's title, I do have that. It is Project Completion. Samir?
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster, and thank you, Marty and fellow Toastmasters. My project was basically to work on writing a song and actually finish. My goal of this project was to write a plan that enables me to break through from something that just sounds cool and has good vibes into something I can actually say has a beginning, middle, and end. And it proved to be a little more challenging than I thought it would. Music producers have a term for this kind of paralysis by analysis. It's usually called the doom loop, which, no, it's not just a new term for the year 2020. It's basically having a good section that you think sounds good, but you can't actually get that into anything that resembles a song. A song has many elements that are constantly shifted forward and pushed back to create a sense of movement, ranging from mere volume automation, where each specific track, like let's say the kick drum or the bass line or something else, is raised and lowered relative to the other sounds, to more complicated sidechain compression, often used in various forms of dance music or pop music to create that pumping, energetic feel that makes people kind of want to get up and move, or at least bop their head to something that sounds kind of groovy. In working on this project, I found myself referring to several books and also contemplating the philosophy of music itself. Never letting the enemy be the perfect of the good, I gathered what resources I could to make my plan. What makes a good song? Sometimes lyrics will touch your heart, while others can make you move. And that's more along the lines of what I was going for. Excellent sound design, sculpting each of the aforementioned elements. Of course, some apt, hip-sounding vocal samples can always add some appeal, especially to dance music, although at this stage, despite a plethora of ideas, I didn't add any vocals in my plan because I thought maybe I can do that in the future. The first stage of sound design gets a lot of the way there. Back when you're arranging elements together, it can sound pretty artificial. So as I was asking myself about how to make it sound more human, even though I'm making this music on a computer, as with most creative endeavors these days, I remembered understanding the history of recorded music helps. After consulting a few more books, I recalled in my musical surfing that I'd found an article that succinctly synthesized the process of humanizing digital sounds, and it described it as sonic varnish, changing it little by little, bit by bit, with a variety of effects to create something pleasing, if not completely natural and still somewhat artificial. I found myself considering the evolution of how natural sounding instruments themselves evolved. Imagining the Belgian inventor of the saxophone, Adolphe Sax, tinkering endlessly with mountains of brass, leather, and reed wood around him to devise his variously tuned namesake devices. Now that I'd enumerated what was missing from transforming my doom loop into an actually good song, I needed some structure for my plan itself. That's where most people probably think of traditional songwriting, looking at various song structures from the simple jig, a simple verse and chorus call response, to the A, B, C, D, B, E, B, C, E, more common in various pop and dance music forms, which is what I ended up going with ultimately. Despite all of these efforts, I was still missing some kind of unnamed je ne sais quoi that maybe led me to think of motifs. Maybe my motifs were incomplete or misaligned between the different sections I had been working on. Now I needed to get a little closer to everyone's least favorite type of reading material, textbooks. I have a fairly sizable repertoire of books on music theory, and as many performing arts technology majors will admit, that can get a little boring. Despite this, having that kind of framework really helped me get through noodling around various sounds on various instruments and tightening up my harmony to really sound a bit more special. Specifically, I looked into music theory for melodic tension and resolution and used that in my song. One area in which the English language shines is technical jargon, but let me tell you, there's an underappreciated value to these seemingly superfluous names. Having a lexicon to describe what you're trying to do gives you the vocabulary you need to trigger the micro emotions generated note by note as you proceed through a piece of good music. Atmosphere in the introduction versus the buildup can contrast the emotions to what you hear in the chorus, which really enables that tension to resolve from between the beginning and end. In the end, the possibilities were basically endless. So working on each section through my plan, refining and improving, and then of course letting go enabled me to get to the stage where I thought, hey, maybe someone else other than me can listen to this. Although many things sounded fun, too many fun things all at once could get fatiguing, so I had to continuously cut and work on refining my sound. While procrastinating and prevaricating on completing the project plan, I also ended up doing my taxes one of the days, so that was a nice bonus. At the end, what does a plan enable you to do? Finish. And although my song may not be quite done, missing a choice selection of those cliched yet punchy vocal samples I mentioned, it's a lot closer and easier to reformulate than I had been before. The plan and structure itself and actually completing the project of the song are going to be invaluable to my future efforts to write other songs or write other creative works. When it's actually done, or just done enough to preview for my girlfriend and have her say it sounds really cool, I'm happy that I had the experience of working through this plan. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Samir. It was great. Second evaluator will be evaluating our second speaker this morning. Tom Moran will be evaluating Larry McKenzie. Tom?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guest, Karen. This morning, it's my pleasure to be evaluating our past president, Larry McKenzie, as speaker number 2. Larry's going to be doing project number 5 from Pathways, Leading in Your Volunteer Agency. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech, Madam Timer. And the objectives of his speech, if I can pull them up on my phone here, I can tell you, or more or less they listed as the purpose. This Pathways evaluations are kind of a different paradigm from what I'm accustomed to in the manuals that we used prior to Pathways. But the purpose is for the member to apply the skills needed to successfully lead a volunteer organization, and also the member is to share some aspect of his experience in serving as a volunteer or in a volunteer organization. The title of Larry's speech is Walk or No Walk. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tom. Larry McKenzie, walk or no walk?
Walk or no walk? That is the question. As a leader in a volunteer organization, sometimes you have to make decisions that may not be popular to the mass as a whole. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I have been a part of the Hydrocephalus Association for the last 8 years, chairing their walk, as many of you may know. This year posed quite, let's just say, its own little dilemma because of the pandemic. Across the country, there are 44 walks that take place in different cities throughout the country. Of those 44 walks, quite a few of them aren't able to participate in a manner which we normally do, where we gather and everybody would walk and we get together as a whole. One of the things as a volunteer leader I've had to look at is that something that's possible for our group to do? Hypothetically, not really. How do we do a walk without a walk? Well, that has been my dilemma. But I have been working with the national group. We have put together a walk for everyone, which is going to be held September 26th. That will be a virtual walk where people can just join in and walk in their neighborhoods or what have you, but it's a national movement and it's basically going to be the National Day of Walk. Now, our walk in Western New York is scheduled for September 12th. A lot of our participants and family members have been asking, Larry, are we going to have our walk? I have been prevaricating a little bit because of the fact that when you say the walk or any event that you're planning is canceled, people hear that canceled and think, well, I'll wait till next year. What we want everyone to know is that the need is still there. As a volunteer organization, you still have to, in one way or another, bring in funds to support the group for research or whatever the funds are being allocated to. So what I have done with our group is the day of the walk, regardless if we are going to meet physically, I will be on Grand Island at Beaver Island. What we're going to do is we're going to stream it. We are also going to have an ability for, if people wish to drop off their donations or just stop by, we will have a tent where they will be able to just do a drive-by, give a wave. If they wish to walk, what I've done is I've staggered times so that they can walk at their own convenience, but they register to walk at a certain time. What I've been trying to do is accommodate the mass as a whole. So as a leader of the organization, or one of the leaders, what is the real purpose for us being there? Well, the real reason is the people that are behind me. Those are our Western New York heroes. Those are our hydrocephalus warriors. Those are the people that I have the privilege of leading a group of family members and friends to help raise funds, yes, but also to raise awareness so that everyone that hears the word hydrocephalus may have some sense, or at least a little bit of knowledge of what that means. And it's not just a word. As a leader, you can't do it by yourself. You have to have committees. We do have other committee members. I have a couple of co-chairs. One is my daughter, Kelly, which is above my shoulder, and Stacy. Now, Stacy, the young lady in the center of that picture, is the lady who started our walk 8 years ago. With her, my daughter and I have joined in and helped the walk grow from our 2 families to last year we had well over 400 people. How does that happen? Well, social media, getting the word out, doing different things to get people involved. So if I were to say, well, the walk this year has been canceled, we're going to be doing it virtually. When people hear that word cancel, we don't want them to think that we have forgotten about the real cause. And the real cause are our hydro warriors. With that in mind, what we have done is we're trying to serve the best of both worlds. Those that want to participate virtually may do so because I will have the ability to stream everything live that day. And those that want to participate can register and have a time to do so. So as a leader of an organization or a charitable group, working with your families through Zoom meetings and different polls, we have come to the conclusion that one way or another, is it walk or no walk? It will be both, because those that wish to walk will have that ability. Those that wish to be virtual have that ability. And we are all still getting together as a community for the same cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I can relate to this. It's working for a nonprofit. We have canceled, unfortunately, many things. So we had our 2 speakers very fast, and the ballot should be popping up soon for you to vote for either Samir or Larry. Oh, I take it back. I'm sorry. Kate, timer's report. That counts first. Kate.
Thanks so much, Madam Toastmasters. Both of our speakers qualified almost with the exact same time. Samira at 5:55 and Larry at 5:58. Thank you.
Great. I didn't screw up too much then. Okay, please cast your votes. And while you're casting the votes, I am going to tell you a little bit about the flavors of Snapple. There's many. There's peach tree, kiwi, strawberry, apple, mango, madness, raspberry tea, pink lemonade, half and half tea, and fruit punch. Does anyone have a clue which one is their big seller, the people like the most?
Raspberry tea.
It's the peach tree. 1,811,685 people did the survey, voted for that one. And as being a quiz master, I'm going to ask more questions like that. But first, I'm going to go back to our evaluators and have them evaluate our speakers before I forget that part of the program. So we have Marty first, evaluating Samir. Could you do your evaluation, please? Marty? Did I lose him? Where'd he go?
appears Marty has left the building. Maybe go on to the second evaluator.
We'll go back to the second one then. Tom, are you ready for Larry?
I am. Yes, I'm ready. Did I unmute? Yeah, I'm ready. Should I go ahead now? Okay, I see your lips moving. So I would like to comment this morning as my evaluation on Larry's professionalism. I'm really amazed sometimes and impressed with how Larry can do a presentation so professional. I would almost guess that he has someone in the background changing screens for him. There was no hesitation. There was no looking for a key on the keyboard or looking for that little spot where you share the screen. He did it flawlessly. And he also timed it for when he was speaking. He was speaking, and I noticed the first one when it came up, it was about you don't do it alone. You do it with a group of people. And then all at once, a group of people showed up behind him. Now that's really well done. And it's so smooth and it just looks so nice. I'd also like to maybe quiz Larry sometime off camera on his lighting and how he projects himself on the Zoom, because it's very good. He is probably the best I've seen on Zoom as far as his lighting and how he appears on the screen. Now, part of the objectives of the speech was the audience awareness. Now, we know that he's on previous speeches given this type of speech on this subject matter. And I think he did a very good job of covering it and engaging us. I could tell people were engaged because I kept getting little pop-ups with people who had suffered similar dilemmas with their own volunteer engagement. I kept getting these little chat things that would pop up during Larry's presentation. He was very clear in his presentation. You knew exactly what he was talking about. He's very relatable because we've heard this before. He did I think just an excellent job. Now, I think one thing that he may do a little more of is he had plenty of time. He had a 5 to 7 minute speech and he spoke for almost 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 58 seconds. He could have detailed a little bit about his subject matter, hydroencephalitis, because there are some individuals I know that are new to the club or a guest in the club who maybe do not know what this subject matter is. So I think a little more about that would have been appropriate. Now, I'm not trying to be a Dory for or prevaricate, but I enjoyed it immensely. I think Larry did an excellent job and I applaud him for his efforts. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tom, for your evaluation. Now Marty is back and we'll have Marty evaluate Samir.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And Samir, excellent job on your speech this morning. I spoke with Samir yesterday. I just wanted to catch up with him and find out, exactly what he's working on, because I've been out ill for the last few weeks. And he told me he's working on keeping his eye on the camera, natural flow, working on reducing ums and ahs. And I think he did well on that. He did have a nice natural flow, Samir, and you spoke in a very non-prevaricate manner to us this morning. I heard you say that you found the plan challenging, and that's good to hear, because these projects are definitely made to increase in complexity as you go along. And usually when you're challenged and you run into trouble, you learn something, and you definitely did that. You gave excellent explanations about the song that you were writing. you challenged yourself and you gained some knowledge for the future. What an awesome accomplishment. Not many of us can say that we created a song or working on creating a song, so that's awesome in itself. There are a few things that I saw that I think they may help you. I did notice, and it was a little, to me personally, it was just a little distracting. I know you may have had an outline for notes, and I know sometimes people use notes, sometimes they don't. But if I could give you one suggestion for your notes, perhaps keep them at the camera level, the outline, and just bullet points. And I feel that that'll help the audience engage with you, because they're probably more than 50% of the time, your eyes were fluttering above the camera. And I was trying to follow you, but it was a little distracting. And I'm just trying to be helpful. I'm not being nitpicky. But I think you're very professional. Your English is beautiful. Your English, your language flows perfectly. I hardly heard any ums and ahs. With that being said, the other suggestion would be try to tell us more from your memory what you learned. Because a lot of times, if people have that personalized feeling or that personalized story, I tend to myself personally get drawn into the story if it's personalized, and I can tell that they may have some notes, but not relying on notes. I would work on that. And then a couple times you had opportunities where you possibly could have used your hands. Maybe it's some technological part where you're talking about the songwriting. I would suggest that also to help engage the audience. To summarize, Samir, I feel that if you use these suggestions, that it could perhaps help you in the future, in your future speeches. I hope you keep up the good work. Don't get discouraged because that you did not completely finish your song. You've done more than many of us. And I encourage you to not give up and keep working on completing the song. And I would love to hear it someday. Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marty. Great evaluation. Okay, back to Kate, our timer. How did our two evaluators do this morning?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Tom qualified at 3:11, but Marty went over the buffer at 3:39. So Thomas qualifies.
Okay, so Tom is our winner today. Congratulations, Tom. A little bit of quiz facts here with Snapple. And if you could tell me, if everybody unmutes and could tell me if these are true or false, because people have complained they have found a lot of the facts not true. So I had to do some research and find some true ones and some false ones so we could do this part. And the first one is, I could relate to this one, being a driver, and I think everybody else here can also. The average person spends 2 weeks of his or her lifetime waiting for a traffic light to change.
Ooh. At least.
You think at least? Well, it is false. It's not 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we spend roughly about 6 months. 5 years,
oh, wow.
You're right. And 5 years just waiting in lines. And I was at the bank the other day, and I could relate to that one too. Camels has 3 eyelids.
True.
True.
Due to this desert. Average human eats 8 spiders in his and her lifetime while sleeping. That is false.
It's probably more.
That is false. And a honeybee has 5 eyes, 1 on each side and 3 in the center of this head.
True.
It is true. Thanks. Hey, you guys are good. The average human being's dreams last 2 to 3 seconds.
True.
It is false.
Pause.
The study was done and some last 5 to 10 seconds and some last from 2 to 4 hours. And the very last one, I won't bore you too much. Animals that lay eggs don't have belly buttons.
True.
They don't need them.
They don't need that.
That's right. That is true. So now I'm going to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, Michael Cata. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mikey.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest this morning. Sylvia, when I saw your theme this morning, I was curious because usually when you have to pick such a narrow topic, it makes it more difficult on you as the Toastmaster to present it well. But I think you did a great job. I think that taking charge and making yourself the Quizmaster was a great job because you kept us engaged throughout the meeting. The topic was well researched, which I give you a lot of credit for. You were very prepared this morning. And overall, I think you did a great job. I did also notice that you went from outside to inside. And I think maybe it was because your internet connection was a little bit fuzzier outside. And I did notice that early in the meeting. But thank you for...
I live in Gasport. We're lucky to have internet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So thank you, for you ironing out the details. I know that with doing everything volunteer, thank you again for volunteering this morning. And on to our evaluators. Marty and Tom are two experienced Toastmasters. They can present a lot of their ideas well in evaluations. We had two very strong speakers. Both of our evaluators used the sandwich approach this morning, which for our guest is presenting what they liked about the speech. The meat of the evaluation does have to do with feedback, with how they can improve the speech. And then we usually here at AM Lockport like to close with what they liked about the speech and figure out and to help with that last positive reinforcement to our speakers this morning. But overall, Sylvia, everyone did a great job. It's always impressive to me that we're able to get so many members in this day and age with everything that's going on in the world. So I will turn the meeting back over to our Madam Toastmaster, Sylvia. And that is the end of my report this morning. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to the job holders. Let's see what's going on here. Let's try our grammarian this morning, Nancy.
Thank you, Madam President. I heard a lot of wonderful language today. Jackie, I love the word swimmingly. And it was appropriate right at the right time. And Charlie, I need to confess that no matter how many ahs you counted, I had one before you got on. That will at least add one to your collection. Samir, wonderful engaging language as always. You do not prevaricate with your vocabulary. It's very descriptive. I loved a few of the ones that I enjoyed were steamingly superfluous, paralysis of analysis, and groovy. I haven't heard that in a long time. And having grown up in the groovy generation, it was a treat. Sculpting creative endeavors and musical surfing. Those were some of the fun ones that caught my attention. I heard a few things that, language things that could be better worded. Dave, I love the word grouchy. And you said getting real grouchy. I think you mean getting really grouchy. Tell ya, to ya, and use and yas. Use and yas are not words. Okay, and dropping the you at the end. I think that's my report. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Charlie, will you be able to give us a master report? Nancy, could you complete that? I don't know if you kept track after when Charlie came in. Oh, I lost Nancy too.
I think Charlie is speaking, so wait for him.
Charlie, could you give us an master report? I don't think we're going to have one this morning.
I think Charlie had technical difficulties this week. I know
Probably.
his PC went
Okay.
down, so he's probably just called
We're
in.
going to go to Thomas. How about gestures?
Yes. Good. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, first I have to start with you. You did use one really good hand gesture where you handed it over to somebody. You do have a tendency, for COVID reasons, you touch your face a lot. So just so you know, just to let you know, I saw that. Margot, I love the way you talk with your hands. It like doubles like the physical impact of anything you say. Muklas, thank you for showing us the 3 different types of swimming styles. That was a good use of gestures. Larry, you used a wave. You did some pointing, but I know that you're very, you want the critique. You did talk a little bit too much with your hands. If you go back and watch yourself, it was very distracting along the bottom of the screen to see your hands moving around a lot. That's all I did catch because I ended up having to leave for a short period of time during the evaluations. Thank you.
Thank you. How did our word do today, Jackie?
Our word did very well. Nancy used it twice. Jen used it. Muklas used it in the chat in a sentence. Of course, all of our table topics participants used it. I also heard it from Samir, from Tom Moran, from Larry McKenzie, and from Marty, maybe not quite correctly, but he did make an attempt to use it. So let me give you all a tip. As a mom, don't prevaricate with your family members. Be upfront and honest. Have a good day.
Thank you, Jackie. Oh, let's see. If I missed anyone, going through my little list here. Okay, then I am going to ask about table topics. Who won today?
Sylvia, I have all the winners right here
Thank you.
for today. Our best table topics winner this morning is Moklas. Moklas is our winner this morning for table topics. Our best evaluator this morning is Tom Moran.
Yeah.
And our best speaker today, drum roll please. Larry McKenzie is the winner for best speaker. Congratulations, Larry.
Great.
Now,
do you have anything else, Eric?
Yep. I'll take it from here.
Okay.
I would like to ask our guest, Karen Stewart, from our friends at Rhetorical Roar, how she enjoyed the meeting this morning. Karen?
Thank you, Eric. I admire that you started on time. This is a punctual group, and honoring others' time is so important. Punctuality is not typically an adjective I can claim for myself, and it's something I am trying to improve in. I could tell that everyone was well prepared, and one of the first lessons that I've learned in Toastmasters is still learning, I should add, that preparation is always worth it and yields dividends not only for members in their roles, but members who are listening. I really admire how many roles that you have and how it easily allows for a large number of members to be actively involved in the meeting. My favorite role that I never knew existed is gesture master. I tend to talk a lot with my hands in general, but don't really know how to incorporate that in my speeches well, and appreciated how Thomas not only looked out for them, but then described good uses of gesture during the meeting. I really liked the positive nature of the entire meeting. And lastly, I wanted to add that I think it's terrific there are so many men in the club. I'm increasingly aware of how male and female voices both add a lot to a club experience, and Rhetorical Roar has fewer men than women, and I've been very curious what we can do to keep our club an inviting and appealing space to male members. So if anyone has ideas about that, maybe you could send them to me in the chat. I think sometimes there are a lot of women in one space. Some of the ways we behave doesn't always make it a positive space for men to be involved, and I'm curious about any specific ideas you have. And lastly, I chose the pathway motivational strategies, and I'd be really curious if any of the members at this meeting today are also working on that same pathway. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much for joining us today. I see we had look like another guest by phone. It's that
I think that's Charlie. I'm not positive. Is that Charlie's phone number?
I think that's Charlie, Eric.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. It's Charlie's number. All right. All right. So any last minute announcements before we adjourn the meeting today? Charlie? Are you on, Charlie?
Deb. I can hear Deb.
Deb?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. I don't know what's going on here, but as far as the odds, I counted at least 5 on Tom Moran. One
He
on
must be
Marty.
thinking of me, not Tom.
Oh, this. See, I didn't hear everybody. So, as I'm just using mine, and on Sylvia, I heard 1 at one point, but that's going to be my report. I've got a new phone, and Deb's computer is out of service right now. That's what we usually use. So I'm not used to using my computer. I don't have a camera or a microphone. So, and I just got a new phone, so I'm just working on all that stuff. That's my report.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Good to hear from you. Are there any final announcements? We're ending very early today. That's very good. Any
Just a reminder that we're having social hour tonight again. Anytime after 7, folks can hop on or off at your leisure.
Thank you very much, Kate. Barry?
I have an announcement.
Go ahead, Carol.
Oh, our own Steve Smith was on the front page of yesterday's paper with his telescope.
Oh, yeah, I did see that at 7-Eleven last night. Larry, did you have something?
Is tonight also the last officer training?
Yes. Yeah, tonight is the last officer training. I'll get in touch with to get the link to the training, and it's from 6 to 9 p.m. tonight. So thank you for the reminder, Larry. Do we have a Toastmaster for next week, Kate?
Marty confirms, but maybe Mark. Hey, Mark. Are you out of town next week, Mark?
I am not out of town next week, so it sounds like an outstanding opportunity for me. Thank you.
All right, Mark Campos this coming week, August or July 30th, and Marty for the following week, August 6th. And the rest, August and out, I have the schedule already ready, but next week I don't. That will be the last, like, volunteer folks, jump right on. The agenda is open, so you can confirm your roles now at any point to help Mark out. So if anybody has questions, let me know. And I think I will email you all the agenda. It's different this time. We emailed it in the past as well as the hard copy. I used mostly the folks who have been here on a regular basis, but obviously we can plug in guests or folks who come sporadically if you need to give up a position or if you're on vacation or something. But you can Zoom in from wherever you go, folks. Although sometimes vacation should be a vacation, so your choice. Thank you, Mark, for doing next week, and Marty for the week after.
Well, Kate voluntold us.
Kind of.
Can Charlie hear me?
He's still on, yes.
Charlie, on your new phone, can you add the Zoom app? Because that's what I do. I do this all on my phone. Oh, well.
That's a real fact.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, that's our meeting for today. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned for Post Toasties. Have a good weekend. Thank you all.